Hey, what's up guys? In today's video I want to talk to you about adapting glass to my Nikon Z6 and Z7 cameras using the FTZ adapter and why it might not be such a good idea after all. Oh, and by the way, congratulations to Violet Henning for winning last week's giveaway. I had just hit 500 subs and decided I wanted to do give something back to you guys. And using a random generator, Violet was picked. So congratulations, Violet. I'll be contacting you soon. So let's jump into this video. This video is sponsored by Camera Exchange, your #1 source for used cameras and camera equipment. So give James a call today and tell him Rick sent you for a discount. So adapting lenses, lens adapters, have been around for years. There's all kinds of reasons why you or I would want to adapt older glass or different glass to our camera bodies, whether it's a different manufacturer, a focal length that we like that our manufacturer doesn't offer, a retro legacy lens that has some weird aberrations or leaves little star dots on street lights at night, or whatever the reason is. And those are cool reasons, whether you're a videographer or a photographer. But now we're kind of at a different crossroads where now we're being forced to have to adapt glass for the time being. I'm talking specifically about Nikon and Canon switching their lens mounts. And I understand the reason why they're offering lens adapters, because they knew that Nikon fanboys and Canon fanboys, or brand followers, if you don't like the word fanboy, would be upset because they want to jump into the mirrorless market with their brand. They've been waiting for their brand to go mirrorless, and they don't produce enough lenses right away. But keep in mind that 4 years ago, approximately, Sony introduced the A7 and the A mount, and there was no lenses for that camera as well. I think they also had 2 or 3 at the moment when the camera first came out. And now, look at all the lenses. I'm actually the proud owner of an A7R Mark III, and I'm one of the lucky ones to have just bought a 135mm prime lens, 1.8, which I'll be doing a review on soon. Anyways, back to adapters. So I wasn't a Nikon user before I bought into the Nikon Z system. So I had already bought the 3 or 5 lenses that Nikon produced, and they actually are bringing out more this year, and so I'm very happy about that. But while I'm waiting, I thought, you know, let me get the FTZ adapter and let me try some F-mount glass and see how it is. Knowing that the new mount was larger for certain reasons, to let more light in, to be sharper in the corners because of the flange distance being so short, and then the F-mount glass having such a small rear element and a small mount, I was curious to see how it would react. So I can tell you right now that going through a bunch of different lenses over the past few weeks, I'm a little disappointed. And I really don't see, and this is a spoiler alert, I really don't see somebody switching from Nikon DSLR that has a bunch of F-mount lenses being very happy with a Z6 or Z7 adapting these lenses. And here's a few reasons why. All right, I think we're going to start out with the 24-70 G ED version F-mount. I have my Atomos hooked up so you can see what I'm seeing while I'm recording here. Let's see, get that all set up. So I'm going to zoom in on my Sony here and show you. First off, I can tell you right off the bat that this 24-70 is doing a little more hunting or breathing compared to my 24-70 Z mount f2.8 that I just purchased. Second off, this thing is very noisy. The mechanics, I can feel it racking focus. I can feel the mechanics through the body of the camera. And I'm going to hold the camera up to the microphone so you can hear it. So let me do that right now. Can you hear that noise? Oh my goodness. I mean, it looks sharp. I'm not going to complain about the sharpness. It's an f2.8. If I took some pictures and compared it to the new f2.8 24-70 for the Z mount, the S lens, would that one be sharper? A couple people have done that review already, so I'm not going to argue or claim that one is sharper than the other. So here's the deal, though. Right now, the new Nikon Z 24-70 2.8 Z mount or S mount or Z mount lens is $23.99, $2,400. This older F mount Nikon G ED VR 2 or 1 VR version is also $2,400 new. This is not the VR version, the one I'm holding here. That Camera Exchange let me borrow for this review. The VR version is $2,400 new, and I think Nikon's offering $500 off, so that's like $1,900. But you're not getting the advantages. So that for that extra $500 off, let's say, if you were to compare the VR version to the 24-70 Z mount lens at $2,400. First of all, that one's brand new. It's going to come down in price. It's going to come down $300 or $500 in the next few months after the hype wears off. They'll have a discount. Maybe for Christmas, you'll be able to get it for $500 less. So if you want to wait, but why would you buy an F-mount glass, smaller glass, for about $400 less, and then adapt it down, kind of dumb it down, in my opinion, to the new Z-mount mount using an adapter? It doesn't make sense. However, if you're on a budget, I get it, and I understand that. So this version, which is the non-VR version, which you don't need because you have in-body stabilization on the Z6 and Z7 anyways, used is only $700 to $900. Camera Exchange has this one in beautiful condition for, I think, $850 or $900. And a brand new one, if you can find one still, because I think these ones are discontinued. This is the non-VR version 24-70, is $1,300, brand new in a box. So it just makes sense. All right, let's move on to a different lens, because there's a couple lenses I want to get through here to let you hear and see the focus breathing, the difference because of the adapter. So let's jump into the next one. Okay, so this is the 70 to 200, let's see, G2 with VR. It's the version 2. We're at a version 3 now, which sells for new $2,800. It's not called the version 3, it's called the FLED, I believe. So this is the version 2 with VR. You can get it used for about $1,800 when Nikon Z mount finally releases their 70 to 200. Hopefully that'll be right in the same ballpark, $2,600, $2,400, $2,300, $2,800. Who knows where that's going to be. But anyway, so just as with the 24-70, the 70 to 200, I'm going to zoom in on Marilyn Monroe here. We have a wall print on our opposite wall of Marilyn Monroe. And it's about the same. The focusing is a hair slow. It breathes. It tries to find things, you know, different contrasts. Obviously, with any lens, when you have a high contrast image versus lower contrasting, any focal system, including Sony, is going to hunt a little bit, trying to find that focusing point. But again, a really noisy lens. Again, this is the VR or the G the 70 to 200 2.8 G2 ED. So some people refer to it as the VR2. There was one before this one, and there's a newer one after this one, the newest one. They stopped producing these in 2016 when they started producing the new one. So again, you have to make that choice. If you're a Nikon D850 shooter, and you just bought the Nikon D850 in the last year or so, because that's how long it's been out, and you have all this great F-glass for that system, then I'm saying that you're probably not going to want to jump into the Nikon system, because you're going to have to, adapting your glass to the Nikon Z is you're dumbing down your system. You're dumbing down your glass. Again, this is my opinion. It's probably subjective to the user. Hudson Henery, if you want to go check out his YouTube channel, I'll leave a link below. He is an avid Nikon shooter with many years of experience with Nikon, who has jumped also into the Z system, but still keeps his Nikon D850 and cherishes that system. But anyways, yeah, so this is the 70 to 200. Again, super noisy. If you want to hear how loud this is, I'll hold this one up to the microphone so you can hear. That clicking noise is not me. That's the lens. That horrible, horrid noise that I'm not used to. I'm just not used to this style, because I've been mirrorless with Micro Four Thirds and now the Nikon system and the Sony system now for going on 5-6 years with mirrorless, and everything's super quiet and super fast. I mean, man, blazing fast. This stuff just these new lenses, these new stepping motors inside these lenses are so quiet and so fast. My new, is it the f1.8 135 prime lens for my Sony, my new portrait lens? It has 2 motors, and it's so fast, zoom, 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 like this, you know, it's crazy. Okay, so those are the standard lenses, zoom lenses, that I feel, if you're coming from Nikon, maybe you have a 7500 or 3200, whatever you have, you're going to have possibly the two focal lenses that you should have in your bag, which is the 24 to 70 and the 70 to 200, right? The 2.8s, those are the most common lenses that people tell you to get, if you're going to get, because it's such a nice range. The 2.8 gives you that depth of field, the defocusing for portraits, landscapes, all kinds of stuff. They're general purpose lenses. They're not primes. They're general purpose lenses, and they work great. But now I want you to see a prime. I want you to see a Nikon prime and a Sigma aftermarket prime. So let's jump into that now. All right, so here we have the Sigma 135 1.8 prime lens adapted to the FTZ adapter, and I did a kind of a little quick video on this lens, and I'll put the link up here. But here we are. I'm just gonna focus on these t-shirts. I'm gonna snap back and forth. And you can see the focusing on the aftermarket Sigma seems a lot smoother, but it's not really hunting. It's not breathing. It's snapping right in. I don't know what else I can focus on in here with this size lens. This focal length is pretty. There's my Pro Media gear bag. Let's see. You see how it's just kind of smoothly jumping right in? It's not backing out of the focus. It's not backing into the focus. It's kind of just sliding right in there. Now this lens is a lot quieter. It still makes noise. It is still making noise, and I want you to hear the noise. It sounds like crickets, little quiet itty bitty crickets, not loud crunching noises like these zoom lenses we're making. So let me hold the camera up to the microphone and see if you can hear. So there's the noise of the Sigma Prime. Now for the last one, I want to show you a Nikon 20mm f1.8 Prime. So let me get that on this camera. Okay, so now we have the 20mm f1.8 G ED prime lens f-mount from Nikon. And I gotta tell you, spoiler alert, I love this little lens. It's super light, it's super quick to focus, it doesn't breathe at all. Let me hit record here on my Atomos. And I just get, this lens to me acts like a native lens. It is so close to, and so fast, so close to being as fast as a native lens that I can hardly tell the difference. 20mm f1.8. Obviously there is no Z mount glass yet. There's one coming, a 20mm f1.8, but there's not one yet, and that's why I wanted this lens, because the 20mm focal length to me is a nice wide focal length and a usable focal length at birthday parties and family events, which is where I use it the most. And I'll let you hear this lens too. It still makes noise. It still makes noise, but I think it's the quietest of all of them. Alrighty, so I hope this didn't turn out to be too long of a video. I really just wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions about adapting lenses to the new Nikon and Canon systems. If you can wait and let the glass build up like we had to do with Sony, I feel it would be more advantageous for you. So a few scenarios here. If you already own a D3200 or 3500, I'm not super familiar with the Nikon numbers, but if you own a lower end camera and you have lower end glass, you know, f4s, f5.6s, and you're looking to upgrade, then I would recommend any of the cameras, the Nikon, the Sony, or the Canon. If you are brand loyal, a fanboy, and you want to stick with your Nikon, then definitely buy the Nikon Z system and the new native lenses. If you're a high-end DSLR shooter, if you already own a D850 or a 7500 or a D5, obviously you have some, you must do this for a living, or at least you're a prosumer, you're not just a hobbyist, and you probably already have some pretty awesome glass. And for you to let go of that glass for half the price that you bought it for, that's another thing I should talk about, because in the next 4 years, if the Z system does take off, you're gonna watch DSLRs disappear, and F-mount glass, just as, remember the old D, they had the screw in the back to focus. They were focused by a screwdriver. That glass, the 105 DC is like one of the super sharpest lenses ever made, you know, in that focal length. But nobody uses it because it's a rare piece of glass that that nobody can use. This adapter doesn't have that screwdriver on it, so you cannot run any of the D-type screwdriver mount glass on this adapter and get autofocus, because there is no screwdriver pin on this adapter. You can run all the G glass, and you can run all the legacy glass. If you want to get if you already have the Nikon system and you want to adapt some old legacy glass, then I would tell you, go ahead and do that, because I'm doing it too, and it's a lot of fun. You could be at a garage sale and find an old Nikon piece of glass for 25 bucks and buy it and adapt it and have a blast with it. It'll give you aberrations and weird little star points on lights and stuff. So really though, I guess what I'm getting at is, because I've been getting lots of questions, should I buy into the Nikon Z system? If you were to upgrade, which camera would you get? The Canon? Would you still stay with the Sony? Would you get the Nikon Z? These are all questions I can't really answer for you. You have to weigh the pros and cons. But don't base those pros and cons on the specs of the camera itself, because Nikon, Canon, and Sony are all fantastic cameras, the new mirrorless cameras, and they're only going to go up and get better from here. But if you're basing your purchase on your lenses that you have, I would recommend to you and tell you, because I wouldn't do it. I would not buy older glass, this expensive stuff, to adapt on this brand new sophisticated technology. I would rather wait for Nikon or Canon to bring out more glass like Sony did, like we all had to wait for Sony for the A mount. I would rather wait. So these are pros and cons that you gotta weigh out yourself. And I hope I didn't confuse anybody any more than they already were. Sometimes I'm a little confused on the best approach for photography, and I get hyped up on some of this products, and maybe I should have waited. Anyways, I hope you're enjoying my videos. I sure do appreciate you guys. Congratulations to Violet again for winning the giveaway from last week. And please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell button for future videos, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.